Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, October 1st, 2020, and today I'm going to be talking about a new 538 article that was released today where they discuss the impact of potential victories in terms of the popular vote for both candidates. So the first major takeaway, as you can tell by the title of this video, that if Biden is able to win the popular vote by 6-7%, he has a greater than 99% chance at winning the Electoral College. The reason why this is so significant is because Joe Biden is leading by a larger margin nationwide. Now, this is not to say that the national popular vote could end up being, 8-9% in favor of Biden, but the fact that he's ahead right now by 7.9%, 7.8% is nothing to laugh at for the Trump campaign, because if this does hold true right now, if the election was held today and these polls nationwide are accurate, Biden has a greater than a 99% chance at victory. Biden being +5 to +6 yields him a 98% chance at winning. +4 to +5, 93%. The only time where it dips below a possibility of winning the presidency is if he only wins the popular vote by 1-2%, or obviously if Trump ties with Biden or wins the popular vote. But that's not too likely to happen. If Trump is winning the popular vote by 1-2%, Biden also has a less than 1% chance at victory, so keep that in mind. But I will say that the reason why this map would be heavily in favor of Joe Biden due to the national popular vote has to do with a couple of reasons. And the first has to do with Hillary Clinton. Let's take a look at some of these states. The states that were affected by Joe Biden's candidacy were swing states that Hillary Clinton carried in 2016. His ability to win over a number of these voters, to say the least. I mean, Joe Biden has moved over a number of Trump supporters from 2016 and possibly first-time voters this time around, but we see it exemplified in the Rust Belt. This is a region of the country that Hillary Clinton narrowly lost by less than a percentage point, and realistically, the Democratic Party should have possibly held on to it in 2016, but just so many things were going so poorly for Hillary Clinton, and she was at a very low point on Election Day. And a lot of Democrats were still expecting the Rust Belt to pull through, but Donald Trump ended up carrying all three states by less than a percentage point. But now Joe Biden is doing 4 or 5% better than Hillary Clinton on the national average, which means the statewide shifts likely will be in favor of Joe Biden. Let's say Trump won, Trump did win Wisconsin by 0.77%. That means this time around, if Hillary was up 3% on Election Day, lost the state by 0.77%. If Biden is now up by 7-8%, it's very possible that Wisconsin moves over into the Democratic column. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, New Hampshire, Maine, Minnesota. These are all states expected to vote to the left of where they were 4 years ago. In fact, almost every single state is expected to go leftward of how they voted in 2016, and that makes sense. Joe Biden is doing much better than Hillary Clinton, but you can see why Joe Biden has a very easy pathway to victory if he wins the popular vote by as large as he's leading right now. In fact, he can afford to lose 1.9% of these voters, and he'd still have a 98 to 99% chance at victory in the Electoral College. That's crazy. I mean, as we've been talking about Biden's lead over Donald Trump, every single week, every single day you hear from pundits on MSNBC, on CNN, on Fox News, the race will inevitably narrow up. This is still a presidential race. It's never in a blowout proportion. Even McCain led Obama at one point. But Trump has never once led Biden on the national average. Not once. Never led him on the national average. He led Clinton. Romney led Obama. McCain led Obama. Kerry led Bush. Gore led Bush. When we're looking at modern political history, usually the candidates that were possibly, at least both candidates at one point in time, have overtaken each other, regardless of the year. And if we're looking at the national polls now, Donald Trump as the incumbent president has not overtaken his challenger once throughout the entirety of the campaign season and even before Biden announced his campaign. When it was a discussion of Biden versus Trump being the most likely scenario, that was true. Biden was probably the favorite to win the Democratic nomination from the beginning. And it looks like now, obviously that did end up coming true, but the election hasn't really changed from 2017. Biden was usually up 5-6% nationwide. In fact, Biden is now doing better. And we can see why it just looks very good for Joe Biden if he's winning by 6-7%. Because right now they give Biden a roughly 80% chance of victory. Based off this, it looks like they're expecting him to win from anywhere to 3 to 4% in terms of the popular vote. However, what if Biden holds these national numbers? What we saw in 2018 was that the generic ballot was correct. The generic ballot actually underestimated Democrats, and they won the popular vote by 8%. 8% nationwide. So let's say these numbers do hold. Well, it looks like we're going to be branching up in this point where Biden has a greater than 99% chance, because it isn't just the Rust Belt. Clinton narrowly lost Florida by 1%. If Biden is doing better than her by 4 or 5% nationwide, what's saying Florida couldn't flip? Arizona was lost to Trump by 3.5%, combined with a number of other factors, could very easily go to the Democrats. North Carolina was a 3.7% margin of victory for Donald Trump. What's to say that it wouldn't flip? In Nebraska's 2nd district, it was a 2-point margin of victory. What's to say that it couldn't flip if Biden is doing better than Hillary by not only 2%, not only 3%, by 4, 5%. 5% of it stands today, and based off her actual popular vote victory percent, by 6%. So, based off those numbers alone, you can see why Biden has a greater than 99% chance of victory if he wins the popular vote by 6 to 7%. And right now, he's up by 8%. So let's take a look at the overall forecast and talk about some of these swing states. Now, these swing states generally, at least in a normal election, could go one way or another. But this election has been very static. We've seen the same exact things happen, but there's a reason why Michigan is expected to go to Biden by a pretty solid margin. I mean, this is a 7-point victory. There's a reason why Minnesota is expected to go to Biden by 8%. There's a reason why New Hampshire is expected to go to Biden by 7%, why Nevada is expected to go to Biden by 6, 7%. And that's because of the fact that Joe Biden is doing considerably better than Hillary Clinton. Not only is he winning Trump states, he's solidifying the Clinton states from 2016. Virginia, expected to be larger than a 10-point margin of victory, didn't even vote for Clinton in 92 or 96, and went to Obama in 2012 and 2008, and Clinton in 2016 by smaller margins than what is expected of Virginia in this election. In Colorado, this is a state Hillary Clinton won by 4.9%. Biden's almost double digits in this state. He's up 9% in this state. Taking a look at Minnesota, Clinton won it by 1.5%. Biden is expected to win it by 8%. So, like I said, solidifying the Clinton states from 2016 and now winning back a number of states that flipped to Donald Trump in 2016. And that's largely due to the fact that he's ahead by 7.9%, because Biden can win without Arizona. He can win without Florida. He can win without North Carolina. He could possibly win without New Hampshire or even Maine if Trump wants to run up the numbers in the Northeast. But as long as the Clinton states hold and Biden's able to flip the Rust Belt, he doesn't need anything else. He still wins, which is exactly why this puts him at a very good shot at victory if he wins the popular vote. And he's leading it by a larger margin. With a 6 to 7 point victory, he has a greater than 99% chance at victory. He's up 8%. That's crazy. I mean, the fact that Biden is doing much better than what's the best case scenario, I guess, on this chart is very important to note. Because as it stands today, Biden has a greater than 99% chance at winning the Electoral College. While 538 is accounting for uncertainty, as days move on, we start to realize that, the election may not actually narrow up, because what we've seen is that Biden never hit 80% in terms of a chance at winning the presidency. Everyone was saying around July and August, it will narrow up. It will narrow up. We're seeing the conventions come up, uncertainty in the race. And, Biden was down to a 67% chance of victory. But as the days progress, we start to realize not much is impacting the debate. Not much is impacting the presidential race. The debate surely didn't. 2% of Americans, I think, said that they believe the debate will change their minds on who they're supporting. That's not a good number whatsoever. The debates likely won't matter, considering that we're seeing a lot less undecided voters, which means people have already made up their minds. What we've seen now is that the majority of voters, 9 in 10 voters, have already made up their minds. In 2016, Clinton was down at some points by only at 44% of the vote, while Trump was at 42%. While she led him, she was not expected to win a majority of the voters nationwide, whereas Joe Biden is expected to easily carry the majority of voters nationwide. And if you look at the forecast, I think the reason why 538's numbers have adjusted in favor of Joe Biden is because as we see the days progress, it's not that Biden's lead has drastically changed or changed really at all. It's just more so that the race hasn't changed. So every day that we get closer to the election, it's more and more likely that Biden wins because of the fact that there isn't enough time for anything to change. We are 33 days away, and Trump is still down 8 points nationwide. He still only has a 20% chance of victory in these states. And all Biden needs to do is outperform Clinton by 1%. She was up 3% on Election Day. He only needs to be up 4% on Election Day if we adjust it based off 2016's results. But he's not only up by 4%, not only 5% or 6% or even 7%, which the number was 7% just a week ago. He's now up by 8%. And he's doing much better than just flipping the Rust Belt. But that's all he needs. And realistically, that's exactly why the GOP should be very worried about this election, because day after day after day, removes another 24-hour block where Donald Trump could turn around this election. And we have 2 more presidential debates, but if they're anything like they were just 2 nights ago, I don't think they're really going to be swaying the minds of too many American voters, to be completely honest with you. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch and then a playlist for my 2020 election predictions. If you just want to see where I believe the race stands today, I'm going to be making a prediction in just a couple of days. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.